Baby, let me down slowly, let me down, down, let me down, down, let me down, let me down, down, let me down.
She stares at the lock of metal door, her hand holding the key frozen inches from the lock, the place whose door has been shut for months. Because she had made a pathetic excuse that she couldn't even step a foot inside the space where she had Jungkook's name painted everywhere. Living a life without Jungkook seemed so difficult that it drained out all the vivid colors she had seen. It was like leaving just enough energy to drag herself to live on, while the rest decided. If there at least one person who carries same heart each she is carrying. She took a few deep breaths before putting the key in the lock. As she entered the house for the second time without Jungkook, and it's clean this time because she had hired a servant for the maintenance of the place, her eyes roaming around each and every corner as the memories of her Jungkook slowly started to flash in front of her eyes. She wanted to leave before her fragment get shattered, leaving the even sharper shard to sink even deeper, not giving time for her wounds to heal, but they already open. And this time she had made a choice to let the memories take over her mind, pretending that she's moving on and everything is going to be alright without Jungkook, only to be reminded how pathetically she just convincing her mind and heart to believe on it. And after knowing the actual truth of why Jungkook left her couldn't stop her from coming back here, because she doesn't want it to forget anything. She wanted to remember everything and let herself drown in those thoughts she tried hard to not think about, as they only brought her. It's so hard to keep going and pretending that everything is alright when nothing seems alright. So she let her negative thoughts consume her today because she's tired. And there's no one to hold her in their arms, a safe place where she can rest because it's already snatched by her. As she placed the box she's been carrying with her on the living room table and takes something from the box, switching on the television, connecting the camera recorder to it. She sat on the living room floor, back resting on the table with the remote in her hand. Lisa has given her Jungkook's belonging, which he left at her place, and she didn't dare to open and see what's there, because the moment she got up, her main priority was to find Jungkook. But it looked like that he didn't want it to get fined, as she tried to search for him everywhere he can be, or the places Lisa suggested, but he wasn't there. Not wanted anyone to know about his whereabouts at all, and after aimlessly searching for him for months, Ryan had finally decided to check his belongings he left to find any clue or he had mentioned where he is right now. She doesn't know what Jungkook had recorded in it or the letters he left behind. But she knows one thing, that whatever Jungkook had stored there will completely broke her already broken heart, and that's why she had tried not to touch them. But after so much courage, she finally decided. And it's only her last hope to find Jungkook. As the television switches to cam recorder, the first thing she saw many videos of her from their third anniversary, which she also has in her laptop, and she had watched them before. But she didn't know that Jungkook was also watching these videos, but they basically carry her videos. There's no video in which Jungkook can be seen. Her lips trembled slightly as she now understands why Jungkook was trying to capture each and every moment on their anniversary. He wanted to remember their best time together. The things had started to deteriorate when they returned from the holiday, because that's when he started to stay outside. And when she asked him the reason, he replied because of work, but slowly it changed to a regular thing as he stopped coming home, and she couldn't understand the change of behavior in him first. But now she knows, because that's when he knew what he has been suffering from, and he doesn't wanted Ryan to know about it. Her eyes widened as she saw Jungkook, who seemed to be recording himself. She said in her heart, as she stood up immediately and approached the television standing in front of screen, watching him carefully. She saw him with a languid face and full of sadness. He said, pausing for a moment to stare at the screen deeply, as if Ryan is standing in front of him. "How are you?" His voice clogged as he looks down for a moment, gulping hard. "What? I am even asking if you'd seen this video, that means you already found out truth, right?" He says, looking up, biting his lips. "I know, you might be feeling confused as how I know, right?" She almost gasped at how Jungkook talking, as if he understood her emotions better than her. "But don't be, because I knew that I wouldn't be able to keep the truth away from you. That's why I'm recording this for you. And if you have find this, that means either you have find the Lisa or she had given these by herself. And I know she won't hesitate to tell you about everything, as she always told me to tell you everything since beginning. But love," choked on his own words as tears started to beam in his eyes, and he rapidly blinked them away before he took a deep breath. It was hard for him too. She had never seen Jungkook being this miserable, and she shed her own tears there, watching him struggling to even make a proper sentence. "I don't think I'm strong enough to tell you everything in front of you." And seeing your reaction afterwards, he releases a breath he didn't know he was holding. "I'm not that strong because it will already kill me before I even die. So I knew I'm being coward saving myself from that pain, but I hope you understand it." That means he left those things behind on purpose. He didn't forget them. "I finally took the courage to record this because I knew the moment you'll know the truth, it won't be good. And I can't forever hide this from you because one day you'll find out about this. And for that day, I'm recording this for you. So you won't blame yourself for anything because none of your fault. It's all my fault hiding this, my decision, and that's for your betterment." Putting a hard mask as he smiles looking at the screen. "If I had loved you less, I would have stayed Ryan. But you are my priority, my beautiful irony. Even those two terms are deficient when it comes to you, because I could never explain your existence without the word love, or what you call the love of your life. So how can I let you ruin yourself because of me? There's no one to blame us, as we parted ways when we promised to stay with each other till death do us apart, but only me. And it's not because I loved you less, but I loved you more. Much more than you can't even imagine." He could no longer hold back his tears, freely flowing from his eyes. "No, you're wrong, because I know how much painful that feeling is. That much it's knocking out all the breath out of me, making it harder for me to even breathe properly when you're not beside me." She sat staring at the Jungkook's face on the television, which was still silent, sobbing as she tried to touch the screen in the desperate attempt to wipe those tears when she couldn't control hers. Jungkook was clutching his chest, which hurt so much as he says his next words. "You don't know how painful it was for me to see you on the hospital bed, fighting between life and death. I never ever wanted to see you in that condition. Never wanted to hurt you that badly when you decide to take your own life. I almost lost myself." Vine froze where she was standing when she heard about it. As far as she knew, Jungkook wasn't there with her sister when she was admitted to hospital because he already left without looking back. Then how? She stared at his face as he continues. "That night when I lied to you that I love her more. My love for you never faded, but I love her more." Jungkook says, clutching his hand tightly as the knuckle turned white, and how hard he was clenching his jaw to keep his emotions do not falter, seeing the life drained out from Ryan's eyes instantly. He stands there waiting for her to scream at himself again or to remind how much they love each other, and it's not true, but no, nothing. Not a single word came out from Ryan's mouth, just a lone tear slipped down from her eyes. As Jungkook bit his inner cheek so hard to drop blood inside his mouth, or holding himself to not take wine in his embrace, kissing her, telling her that it's all lie, and that he loves her much as she loves him, but it's all too late. The more Ryan will hate him, the more it will be easier for her to forget him. But what scares Jungkook is that she's not saying anything, not screaming, nothing, just frozen the place. And before Jungkook's self broke, he started to apologize to her, ruining everything he had planned to keep Wine away from everything. He decided to leave the place just like other days. When he comes and Wine was sleeping on the couch waiting for him. And he longingly looks at her face, seeing all those black circles, knowing she isn't sleeping properly, and that's because of him. But when he imagined that she'll be like this when she knows the truth, and the fear he has in his heart of Wine getting end up like Lisa's mother is greater. Yeah, it's better if she have to face the hurt for now, but she'll be happy eventually, right? With one last look on Ryan, he left in a hurry, as if staying there making him drain all his energy. And soon all this will be over, but he can't stop himself from punching the pillar repeatedly at the parking lot to let out his emotion as his knuckles turned red due to bleeding profusely. But he didn't stop because the pain in his heart is greater than the pain he's feeling in his already injured hand. Keep punching the pillar, screaming her name loudly, but finally stopped resting his head on it. I'm sorry, Ryan. He cried few minutes there, before his phone rang loudly in the car and he picks it up, wiping his tears. Jungkook, are you alright? She asks as she senses something is wrong on the other side. I told her, Lisa. He says, sobbing. I broke her heart. Lisa panicked, sensing his condition. She quickly told him to calm down, or it might be dangerous for his health if he keep taking that much stress. It won't help but deteriorate his condition further. As Jungkook finally stopped crying, was about to leave the place, but he couldn't find his car keys. He cursed, kicking his car tires in frustration, wiping his face as he walked back to his apartment for his car keys. He didn't want to see Ryan there crying. It's already hard enough. He came out of the elevator only to find Yuna standing in front of his apartment. As she was about to ring the bell but stopped when she noticed him standing there, and her emotions hardened. But Jungkook cleared his throat. No exchange was shared between them. As Yuna saw Jungkook's injured hand when he tried to open the door, and they entered. Yuna already knew that Jungkook decided to leave her sister, and she was the one who was utterly disappointed in Jungkook. So after knowing the why, and it strains their relationship, no longer talk with each other at all. Not the way Yuna ignoring his presence, as if he doesn't even exist. But he was grateful to her presence because since he announced he wanted to leave Ryan, it's only Yuna who is with Ryan all the time, as she keeps checking on her time to time because Jungkook can't. The living room was utterly silent, not a single sound of anything, as if no one lives here. And Jungkook don't know why it sends shiver to his spine. What he expect to see a crying Ryan waiting for him. Isn't this good? She finally started to accept it because the past month he had been trying to tell her that they can't stay together. He shrugged the feeling of uneasiness in his heart as he tried to find his car keys, and Yuna went upstairs to look for Ryan. As he took the car keys kept on the living room table, when he heard the painful scream of Yuna from upstairs. Without any second thought, he rushed upstairs, skipping few stairs in the process, or he doesn't care because the prickle of fear in his heart rises because of this. All the color strained from his face, and his heart sank when he finally saw the lifeless spine lying down on the floor with the bottle of sleeping pills in her hand, and Yuna trying to shake her body, wailing. Jungkook saw the death itself in that moment as his power of hearing got lost for a second, and the only thing which he saw was the unmoving body of his wife and a deathly pale face in daze. He didn't know when he quickly picked Vine in his arms, rushing down towards outside, and Yuna following him from behind. Was what he received from Yuna's when he tried to enter Vine's room after doctor said that they did their best but they can't say anything until the patient opened their eyes, and they have to keep her for 24 hours observation. Stay out of her life, she threatened. She is there standing between life and death only because of you. Nona, he pleaded as he refused to budge from the place. I won't let Vine suffer anymore. Divorce is what you want? Then divorce you'll get. Just stay away from my sister. She pushed him back harshly as he stumbled back but didn't say anything, knowing it's all his fault, but in his mind, it's only Ryan right now. I will leave, but please let me see her for once. He pleaded on his knees desperately, holding her hands. Please, Nona. Yuna saw how miserable Jungkook's condition was, nothing better than Ryan lying inside hospital bed fighting for her dear life. If you love her that much, then why you decided to give her that much pain? She genuinely asked that question, can't understand Jungkook at all. If he still loves her that much, she can clearly see in his eyes as how it's tearing him apart to see Ryan in this condition. But then why he chose to leave her? Yuna noticed he lowered his head, not replying anything, and she sighed, massaging her temples over the situation. If you can't give her happiness, then you don't have right to make her life this miserable, Jungkook. She says much calmer tone, but still cold, as she looks at the man kneeling in front of her, asking permission to see his wife. And she knows that she can't stop Jungkook because he won't. I don't want to see you here when I came back again. Just leave her alone, Jungkook, because you already did what you can, and you can't repair anything now. So don't make her life more miserable with your presence in her life. She'll be much better without you. Jungkook held Ryan's cold hand. It's so cold that it sends shiver to his body, and he instantly feels dizzy looking at monitor beside. Seeing the couple of spike in the heart rate with the big 60 is the big indication that she is still alive, but her heart is beating really slow, and that is causing tension to Jungkook. As doctor said, they can't tell anything until she opens her eyes. He stared at her serene face, which looks much better than earlier. He saw how deathly pale her face was lying on the floor. As the image flooded his mind, the grip on her hand tightened, trying to provide warmth of his body to her as he refuses to let it go for even a second. He didn't say anything because he knows only sobs will come out of his mouth once he opens it. He stared at their wedding ring and waited for Vine to open her eyes, while he stared at her face longingly. That day when Vine wake up only to find her sister beside her because Jungkook already left her, making sure she is fine, and her heart break when she didn't saw Jungkook there. But after 1 month, she got ready to sign the divorce papers. The fear of losing Vine was higher that he almost confessed the truth to her after seeing her on hospital bed. But her sister's word rang inside his mind. If you can't give her happiness, then you don't have the right to make her life this miserable. She's right, no matter how much he'll try, he can't reverse what's already done, and especially won't give her happiness anymore. Will always the reason behind her sufferings. So he decided to stay away from Vian for her betterment and stopped coming home because Vian wasn't there anymore. Vian stared at the screen because in that, Jungkook was staring at her back with so much guilt and pain. Vian, please stop looking for me, he said with straight face after wiping his tears. Nothing will same, and by the time you'll see all of this, I might. He took a pause before saying, I might forget everything already, and you'll be the one who's still holding on to it. She shook her head aggressively, refusing as more tears spilled from her eyes. Don't destroy your life for someone like me, because I will not be the Jungkook you fall in love. I might be the total different person with no memory of our love. Just a stranger. You should not cry for a stranger, so let me go. You don't have to suffer because of me, because this is even worse. I can give my fate to you. I know I'm miserable, and that's why you should stay away from me. I let you go because eventually you'll forget about me. So I left you harshly for your good. This was the best for you. Stop searching for what's already gone. I'm a lost person, Ryan. A shaky breath left from his mouth. I know you'll never forget me completely, but remember me in such a way that I can help you in living life beautifully. In future, if we ever cross the paths again somewhere, or maybe I won't remember you by the time, but my heart will always recognize you. It will, I just know. And that time when I look at your face, I want to see you're happy in your life. He finally smiled, not a sad one, but a hopeful. Ryan wasn't listening at all as she covered her ears because she isn't ready to let go Jungkook. Not now, not ever. Be happy. If not for you, then for me. Goodbye, Ryan. With his last words, the recording stopped. Only silence covered the whole place. There was only sound of crying in the hall as she shut her eyes tightly, bringing her knees together to rest her head on it. The thunderstorm outside matches her heart condition, and as the rain poured heavily outside, as if it crying, her tears stopped, as slowly the cries calmed down when she remembers their happy moments in this house. It churned her heart badly, constricting in a way that it can't get more painful, even more worse than a heartache. She closed her eyes, only to see Jungkook in her mind, and so happy in those moments when they were together. Though everything comes to an end, but end is always new beginning of life. She promised in her heart that she'll try to be happy for him. If that's what Jungkook wants, and that's what makes him happy, then so be it. Vine was sitting in a small room, and she felt slightly nervous as she saw all the arrangement outside, practicing the deep breath remedy to calm her tense nerves. One of the staff members gave her that the live show has started as she confidently walked into the room, giving a polite bow to the audience as they started screaming her name, just mere glance, and she's not even stage fit. She jokes in an attempt to ease her nervousness, and staff worker cracked standing behind her. You don't know how anticipated guest you are, ma'am, and finally seeing you in person. They're just excited as me. He replies with a laugh, returning to listen to the host, and Vine blushes. She turned her attention to one of the television screen broadcasting the live feed from the studio. Today I'm honored to host the show with a remarkable best-selling novelist in our country. He smiles looking at Ryan. You guys may know her from plethora of titles such as Black Swan, Something in the Shadows, The Dark Truth. All these books are smash hits worldwide in audience, but her latest work, A Love to Remember, is sure to capture both your attention and heart. The staff behind nodded in acknowledgement as Vine readied herself to stood on the stage, taking a deep breath to calm her heart, beating so fast because of nervousness. Everybody, please welcome one of the best-selling authors and our nation's pride, Miss Kim Vine. She made her way through hallway to a well-lit stage carefully, stepping on a little elevated platform as the lights blocking her vision and the sunspots, only thing she managed to see for a minute before it got normal. She deeply bowed to the audience as it met with a wild applause from them, clapping with much excitement. The author flashes a charming grin to everyone before making her way to sit beside the host. Why, Nishi, how are you feeling on this bright day? She replied his grin because Jimin is not a stranger for her as they had few shows before too, and she felt comfortable around him. I'm feeling good. How about you? She replied smoothly, crossing her legs. Well, if I say truth, I'm feeling much better that you are here. He winked and Vine rolled her eyes playfully, laughing at his words, knowing his nature of flirting. Don't you have questions for me to ask Jiminishi? She asked, raising her brows with a pointed look. Right the questions, he replied before reaching out to the stack of cue from the table in front of them. We have picked some handful of questions from our audience before and for you answer about your latest story. I love to remember. Please answer them as you see fit. After writing a horror genre for so long, why did you shift it to write romance novel for sudden? Referring to her latest novel, as Ryan thought carefully before answering. I wanted to write something different or to challenge myself, whether I can fit to the genre, and most probably taking a break from all the horror stuff for a while. Something like that don't involve of murder, mystery, or killing people. He joined her. Don't want to terrorize your audience anymore? Romance, of course, with a little hint of angst in it there. Nothing better, a light-hearted romantic stories calming down your soul for a while after the stuffs I wrote. This will be something new for them. I couldn't agree more. He seems doing the wonderful job even in romance genre. and all the people in house can agree that your hard work of writing something new paid off. Thanks for your so much love and support over the times. I'm happy you're liking the new genre I decided to write. Jimin smiled before asking a new question. The stories I have written before doesn't consist love. A Love to Remember is purely romance genre. It gives you the feeling how love can be beautiful, yet tragic, and heartbreaking at the same time. She started slowly. Story go on, you'll understand many things throughout the pain and heartbreak they go through. A Love to Remember is nothing but the story of her and Jungkook she decided to write. She won't reveal it to anyone. Those who close to her already know. To let go the pain is to write them down, and she didn't thought any better idea. Jungkook wanted everyone to forget him, but Ryan made him remember for the rest of her life. At this way, he'll always stay with her, reminding her of the beautiful yet tragic love. That was a lovely synopsis, Vainishi. He praised, clapping along with the audience. But I'm curious about one thing. He asked, tapping his chin thoughtfully. Does this story has a happy ending? I mean, no offense. I'm just curious. You won't let your readers heartbroken this time? While hummed a little as she looks down for a second before she looks up straight in his eyes, back being confident. As I said, that it's different from my other stories, but it's not good to reveal everything. I want readers to decide their own that ending I choose is happy or. She raises her eyebrows, then smile afterwards as Jimin smiled back in understanding. The last question of the day from audience Vainishi. She nodded, encouraging him to ask, Is A Love to Remember true story? Her body stiffness in the seat as the question catches her off guard, and Jimin noticed how tense she looks, so he decided to speak instead. I mean, they didn't specify. It's a wild guess, I think. She thanked Jimin for that as she took a deep breath before answering the question. Being a public figure allow her to learn how to react in a situation like this. Is A Love to Remember true story? She repeated after it. I also leave this on the audience to decide. An excellent answer. He applauded. Everyone, please check out Love to Remember by Kim Wyan in the stores. Everything went perfectly, as after the interview she had a meal with the staff and later bid them goodbye with her manager. Arya, oh my god, don't ruin those cards for Wyan. She picked the cards from her hands as she saw a little scribble there. Baby, it's not drawing book, it's for Wyan auntie, you shouldn't have touched them. What happened? She asked as she came from upstairs after freshing up with a long shower. It was a hectic day but fruitful. Arya ran towards Wyan as she hugged her niece because her mother scolding and her favorite aunt protecting as Wyan crouched down, cupping Arya's face. I'm sorry, Wyan, she ruined your letters. She says as picks all the scattered letters on the floor. It's okay, Jenny. I think maid kept them on the table and I forgot to keep them. Was already tired. It's not Arya's fault. The letters are still sealed. Do not spoil her, Ryan. She doesn't even listen to me because she thinks I'm her enemy. Jenny, you're her mother, and that's your role is to teach what's good and right. But let her aunt spoil her because that's what they for. Besides, it's okay to people make mistakes. Right, after all, we are humans, but best is not to repeat them. She picks her in her arms as the little girl hugged her tightly. I bought several drawing books for you with colorful sketches. Who gonna use them if you gonna cry like this? Why not? As she called the maid to bring the gift she bought when they stopped to eat something through near market on her way for Arya. Spending time with Arya really makes her feel happy and contented as she forgets about her daily life stress. So how was the show? She asked as she sat in front of Ryan after picking all the letters. I heard it was a success and you were practically glowing that everyone drooling over you, especially the host. You're getting annoying day by day. Even my mom stopped forcing me, but you... That sounds like something my mom will say, and besides, what's wrong spending life all alone? I'm happy with my life and career. Because that's what he wants. There's no need to take the name to understand whom she is referring, because Jenny knows clearly. It's been years, Ryan, and he might have already forgotten you, so you should also move on with your life to find your true happiness, she says as she stands up, putting a hand on her shoulder, noticing a grim expression on her best friend's face. True happiness. That belongs with him, and the moment he left, he took that with him. Right now, I'm just trying to fulfill his wish, but trust me, I'm better than before. I won't say anything further. You are genius enough to realize that he also wanted you to move on, she says as she leaves her all alone to look for Arya. One was lost in her thoughts after the conversation with Jenny. She started reading all the letters she received from her fans to divert her mind, as the fans' letter always gives her motivation to keep going in her life. Vine covered her mouth with her left hand, desperately holding back a painful sob as she reads the last few words. She thought that the time has healed her wounds, only to remind it that the time only teaches how to live with that pain until it becomes habitual to it. She realizes that why she never able to find Jungkook 5 years ago, because she was trying to find him with his real name when he had changed his name so no one can search for him. It might be a mistake or who have written the letter used his fake name, but with the littlest clue, she got started searching for him again and called her crazy. But she can't stop herself when Jungkook contacted her after years, telling her that he still loves her. In the beginning, he used to lose a temper easily, but as the year passes, he became calm. Also, we sometimes need to help with some tasks, but overall, Junhwan is doing fine, she says as she guided a agitated Ryan to hallways, as she was twisting her wedding ring nervously, as she didn't remove it till yet. Until they reached the end towards a room, as slowly she opened the gate before taking a deep breath. She doesn't know why her heart is pounding so loudly inside her ribcage, as if it will come out anytime, having shortness of breath. She looks around the room, having a light shade of color, when her eyes fall upon a man sitting on the bed, leg crossed back, facing her, looking outside, maybe lost in his thoughts. She calls him, but he didn't respond, too busy looking outside the window, as she chuckled apologetically. He sometimes don't react to his name, so we have to call him many times. Her eyes didn't leave the man who was back facing her since she entered the room. Her voice cracked as she calls him, and she had expected him to turn when she called, as the nurse was looking at her in confusion, but her all focus was on the person. It knocked out all the air in her chest the moment he turned to look at them, as if he recognized his real name. They stared at each other without blinking, one with unshed tears, another so much confusion as he looks at her frowning, but with a calm face. To say it was heartbreaking was understatement, because she can't describe how devastated she feels looking at Jungkook's confused face. What she expected, he'll hug her as soon he saw her. From the letter she received, she thought, but he forgot again, and that's okay. But it still managed to rip her heart from her chest and plunge several knives, then put it back as it painfully dropped inside her. Everyone thinks it's her who got the worst, but no one knows it's Jungkook who suffered the most. Imagine loving someone and not remembering them, how painful and heart-wrenching would have been. She noticed a wedding ring dangling in front, visible through buttons of his shirt. It worked like a soft patch to her badly wounded heart. She is happy that she finally found him. It took a lot of time, but she is standing in front of him again. It's her Jungkook, she knows, yet the nagging feeling as himself looks so different with his long hairs, and she noticed he got little thinner. It's okay, she said in her mind. He's still your Jungkook. She reminded herself again. Just he doesn't have any memories about us, and it makes us. She remembered Lisa's words, that one day he'll forget about you and your love for him, that a day will surely come, you'll be standing in front of him and him not recognizing you anymore. But it's better than not seeing him at all because only she knows how hard all those years she spent without him, no one but her. If he doesn't remember their love, then her love is enough for both of them. She introduced the same way when they met for the first time, and she wore her brightest smile like before. His lips tucked upwards, seeing her smile as she shook hands with him. My heart will always recognize you. It will, I just know. And that time when I look at your face, I want to see you happy in your life.